Hey guys, Will here. Welcome back to this video series on setting up a PC racing simulator. So the purpose of this video is basically to determine whether a higher end setup than what I've got here and what I've been using for the past 8 years is actually going to yield better lap times and more consistency. So basically I've been using an old Logitech G27 which I bought about, 8 years ago now on a wheel stand pro. And as you can see, when I'm driving, it moves around, the chair's not fixed, and it's really not an ideal setup for simulator racing. The reason I've been using this is simply because it can be easily packed away and it's nice and convenient. I can just sort of get it out when I need it and then put it away when I'm not using it. But these days I'm playing a lot more racing simulator games in general. I don't have a track car anymore, so this is sort of my track time now. So I guess what I want to determine here is how much faster I'm actually going to be with a proper racing setup. So if you've seen the previous videos, we've got a bunch of new Fanatec gear that we're all setting up. And I encourage you to watch those videos. We've done unboxings, we've done setup, we've done configuration, stuff like that. And we're also getting a next level racing FGT simulator cockpit. Now the reason I've chosen that cockpit in particular is because it has an upright seating position for GT style racing as well as a reclined position for Formula 1 style as well. And it emulates sitting in a real Formula 1 cockpit pretty accurately in my opinion. So what we're going to be doing now is jumping in, doing some lap times in F1 2018, which is a game that I'm playing a lot of at the moment. We're going to be doing time trial mode here, and we're going to be doing Spa with no assists except for racing line. I'm going to do 5 laps with racing line on, and then 5 laps with racing line off, so that we're removing a bit of the a few of the variables there. My braking points should be pretty accurate, and so forth. Now what we'll do then is once the simulator's all built, we'll come back and we'll do exactly the same thing again with the new setup and see if I'm faster. So let's get into it. Alright, so we'll go into time trial mode here. Alright, so time trial mode, Mercedes, we'll go across to Belgium. Alright, so we'll start off with the racing line on and everything else off. So session, you can see Ghost is all off, so I'm not going to be following anybody else's time or anything like that. Preferences, we'll go to assist, and I'm going to switch the dynamic racing on corners only to begin with. We'll do 5 laps with the racing line on, and then we'll do another 5 laps afterwards with the racing line completely off. You can see all the other assists are off apart from pit assist and release, which aren't going to be applicable here anyway, because we're not going to be going into the pits at all. And so we'll jump out of that and into our session. Jump into session info, and I'm going to use just the normal balanced default preset, I think, because I don't want to have too many variables between different setups and things like that. We're just going to leave it completely default. We'll see what sort of times I can do now, and then once we've built the simulator, we'll come back in with exactly the same settings again and see how much quicker I can go. So we're comparing apples and apples. So just wanted to show you here that there's no custom setup going on. Everything is just as it is out of the box. And we will jump out here and let's get going. Alright. Okay. Bit loose there.
Lap so far is a 1 minute 46.1.
Lap's a bit of a write-off, I think. Oh well. See if we can pull some time back in this last sector, find a faster line.
Last lap was a 1:46.1.
That wasn't too bad. One thing I noticed with this wheel is that there is quite a large dead zone in the force feed. Oh, spun! That's the end of this lap. We'll see if we can find a faster line through the back end. I shouldn't have been trying to talk while I was driving, but that's alright. So yeah, there's a bit of a dead zone in the middle of the force feedback area. So you can see there's quite a bit of play in the steering wheel where nothing happens. And in a game like this where the steering's really precise, it can actually make a big difference. So I'm hoping that the new wheel doesn't have that sort of play area. It's not dead zone in terms of the input. The steering still works. It's just the force feedback itself doesn't actually do anything in that range. So it'll be very interesting to see whether that is something that's improved. And I think that's a big factor in the problem that I have with consistency as well. Like I struggle because sometimes a little tiny twitch that you get, you just can't feel properly to catch it. So see how we go with the new wheel, see if that improves. But I'm hoping that my consistency will be really improved with the new setup, because that's one of the most frustrating things. Is I can get a decent lap time, but then I'll do 5 laps of the garbage, and you know it's just not consistent. So, and it's even worse without racing line, obviously. So we'll try that at the end of this lap anyway. See what kind of time we can do without the racing line turned on. Obviously, this lap was a write-off because I've been chatting and spun out at the beginning. But I think we got one decent lap time. I think we might even got a PB in there at one point, so that's good. We'll have a look at that and review it in a moment. Okay. So we'll end this session. New PB. Okay, so 145.7, and okay, so if we look at our theoretical session best, which is a 145.5-ish, if you combine all the best sectors, significantly faster through the second sector on the first lap that we did. So if we can try and combine that line that we took there as well, we should be a bit better off. But not a bad lap time, 146, and you can see the consistency issues there. There's a second and a half between my worst and my best lap, not including that last lap because it was garbage. So anyway, we'll screenshot this later on. We'll jump back in and go through the process again without the racing line and see how we go with that. Alright, so we're going to do exactly the same thing again, except this time with the racing line turned off. So back into, where are we, Belgium? We'll tab into options, and you can see here now we've got under preferences, assists, everything is completely off apart from the pit and assist release stuff, which obviously isn't relevant anyway. So everything is off there, and we'll go into the session. And F1, go across to car setup, and again you can see we've got the balance default set up there. We're not changing anything, so we're comparing apples and apples. So let's hit the track now. As I mentioned before in the racing line example, I do struggle a lot with consistency with this wheel, and it is a lot worse without the racing line turned on, because minor little corrections I really struggle to make. So we'll see how we go. Try and get a good line for the first lap. Wheel on the dirt back there, that wasn't ideal. Oh, way too wide. We'll see if we can shave some time in the later part of the lap, see if we can find a quicker line through these bends. I'm not going to be able to call that time back. We're 1.5 seconds behind now, so that's alright. like you can ride the curbs a little bit more than the suggested racing line would allow. So I might try just cutting things a little bit finer, seeing if we can shave off some time that way as well, obviously without putting the car into a spin. So almost 2 seconds slower. That didn't work. Oh well. Whoop. Try. Dirty tires. See, if I cut the first turn too shallow, then I end up understeering in the second turn, so it's alright, we're learning. Yeah, again there, understeer. Whoa. Try and get a good lap this time. That felt better. Still down on my best, but that's okay. Oh no. Yeah, see, understeer out wide there because I cut the first turn too wide, it's too tight, so I'm sorry, so. Starting to sort myself out now. I'm thinking about it too much. Alright, 2 more laps to go. We'll get this right. We're going to get at least one decent lap out of this. Oh, are you serious? Nah. We'll restart the lap because it was invalidated for the next lap as well. That's okay. That felt better. Still a second down on our best, but that is okay. At least we got a half decent lap. No, blew it. I feel like I lose a lot of time around this bend. I haven't quite got the line right on that bend, I don't think. Final lap. Oh no! Oh, we may as well give up there, I think. So, end the session. That last lap is a write-off. So, 147.1. The first lap was our best one, and you can see there, there's the consistency is not great. So 147, and lap 4 was half decent, 148.5. So a second and a half variation again there. Even I think that was about the same as it was with the racing line on as well, but obviously my times are a lot slower. So yeah, I think the main factor there, other than the lack of skill obviously on my part, is because of that play that you have in the wheel before the force feedback kicks in. It really does make minor corrections very difficult. And when you're not following a racing line and you're twitching around a little bit more, and you're putting in a little bit more boot a little bit more earlier and braking a little bit later, that really makes a big difference. So it'd be interesting to see whether I can go faster with the new setup. So next step is to pull all this apart. I might try and put the new wheel on this stand just while I'm waiting for the cockpit and everything to arrive. We'll see how we go with that if we get a chance. But otherwise, I'll come back and do some more laps once everything's set up. So we're going to have a whole bunch of videos in between then and now. So if you're watching this after the event, make sure you go back and check out those videos where we set everything up and everything as well. But I'll be back in a week or so with the rest of the video.